Good morning. Today we have with us Mr. Zach Wheeler of Greatworth Medicaid Planning. He's a partner with Whiteman Law, which is an elder care firm that specializes in Medicaid. And he is going to answer some questions that many people have about the kind of assistance that Medicaid can give to someone who is facing the costs of assisted living. So thank you for being with us, Mr. Wheeler.
Yes, Michael, thank you.
I guess one question that a lot of people would have is that the people that you work with, people that you encounter, what is the average income that someone typically retires with? The monthly income that they have month in, month out. And what are the typical costs of assisted living in Dallas-Fort Worth? Can you address that for us?
Yeah, of course. I would say the average income you've got mostly Social Security is anywhere from $1,500 to $2,500 a month for most retirees, over 65. If it's closer to 2,500, usually they're getting more maybe pension income, or some of them have rental income from property. But if we're looking at just Social Security, which is the majority of our clients, is usually $2,000 or less that's coming in their bank account each month per person. And it's sort of a sliding scale with assisted livings, but most, even cheapest assisted living, so this would be the kind of first layer of community care, is going to be in the $3,000 to $4,000 range here in the metroplex. Now, if you leave the big city, you might find some cheaper care out in the country, but I would say anywhere from 3 to 4,000. Average is probably more in the 4 or 5s, and then you want to go more luxury, bigger rooms, multiple rooms, higher amenities, quality, real high quality chefs. You're looking at probably $7,000 to $8,000 a month.
Wow.
So thousands of thousands usually of gaps between what people make and what they end up spending. So that now they have to rely on assets to spend to cover that gap.
Yeah, and a few months ago, I was talking in an interview with the director of a skilled nursing facility,
Mm-hmm.
and that becomes stupendous, those costs.
Yep. Yep. As you get higher levels of care
Yeah.
needed, more medical necessity, the more expensive it gets, which is really difficult because most people at the end of their life have used what they have to live, and it stinks that sometimes the last segment of your life can be the most expensive if you're not prepared for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it can be absolutely terrifying if someone is facing the possibility that they have 10 more years to live, but they have no more money and they have no way of working to support themselves.
Yep.
So,
Right.
Medicaid, I think the common perception of that is that someone needs to be poor in order to take advantage of that Medicaid is a program to help people who do not have uh, financial resources. What do you say to that? Is that the case with assisted living? Is everyone that you work with, would they consider themselves poor?
There are some that would, and maybe some that wouldn't say poor. I would say the most people we help is middle class. We're helping the middle class not go into poverty in the last year or two of their life or longer. Medicaid is a very complicated program. It's one of the most complicated welfare programs ever created. Most of the funds here in Texas do go to poverty programs. So kids that are disabled, adults that are disabled, people that can never take care of themselves medically. Medicaid pays out billions of dollars in this state. Another section, and what we work in the most, is a program called long-term care Medicaid. There's over 50 programs of Medicaid. Long-term care Medicaid was a program created a long time ago that was helping people that have earned assets not burn through all of them when they need long-term care. And long-term care is assisted living kind of going into skilled nursing or nursing home. And that's when it gets very expensive. Most places minimum in this area are going to be $6,000 or $7,000 a month. You can see how that could get burnt through very, very quickly.
Sure.
The Medicaid was always created for middle class, some upper middle class and lower class kind of wealth groups that helps share the cost of expensive care like long-term or skilled nursing. The only thing that's changed over the years is they've made it harder and harder and harder to get on. So the misconception about the program of Medicaid, specifically long-term Medicaid, which is what we help with, is that you can't have anything. You have to be dirt poor. Now that's true of some of the other programs, but not for long-term care Medicaid. Long-term care Medicaid, it was always designed for middle-class individuals who need some help sharing the cost of the long-term care. So what we do is we help protect the assets. There's the misconception you can't have any assets. That's not true. You still have to use most of your income. You can't just store away your income. You have to use that. But what we do is get them on so that all, if not most of their assets will be protected. And that's true of almost all 50 states. And so that's the big misconception, is that for long-term Medicaid, where people are burning through money at the last stage of their life, you have to be poor. And that's never been true. And that was never why the program was created.
So I think that addresses maybe another side of this, Zach, which is, and I know that your partner, Ms. Whiteman, she in the past has actually been on the side of prosecuting Medicaid fraud, and
Right.
so she's aware of that goes on. There are people who would say, looking at this, that this is actually an abuse of the system. If someone has some assets and they're accessing Medicaid, that's not the way it's supposed to work. And I think you've just addressed that.
Yeah. And to expand on a little bit more, that Wendy would prosecute for the other programs we talked about that are not long-term care, that were people that were not supposed to be on somebody's welfare programs that were fraudulent. With long-term care Medicaid, you could also commit fraud by not reporting assets. That's mostly what people would do, is hide things. Or you could lawfully preserve assets. There's very specific ways you can do that and still get on. But to loop back to what I mentioned to you earlier, is specifically the long-term care Medicaid program was never designed to be only for poor people. It was designed for all people that knew how to read the law and do certain things with your assets and still qualify. I mean, even for married couples, a simple solution, if one of them needs expensive care and one doesn't, this state allows you to shift everything from one to the other, and now the one that needs care will qualify for Medicaid. That's always been the case. But I think that's why it's important to meet with someone that knows how to preserve assets lawfully, so that way that we don't go broke on the last segment of our life. But yes, Wendy spent for Dallas County would prosecute for Medicaid fraud, and just saw that individual's family, some of them not even realizing what they're doing, committing fraud. But then she knew that this family, some of them could actually qualify if they lawfully did. Yeah. It's kind of like tax law, right? Like there are that's why you meet with a tax accountant, is there's lawful strategies to paying minimally out of pocket based on what the law allows you to do. And then you
don't have to cheat.
Yeah, you don't have to cheat. Now there's limits to that. We're always going to be within our limits, but no one gets away with just paying nothing. You still have to apply your income towards your care. That's never going to go away. So it's a shared program. It's not a free ride on the government, as a lot of people believe. But that is something that it's a misconception, certainly.
Well, Zach, I think this information is enormously helpful to many people. And so I want to thank you for sharing this with us this morning. And please, if you're watching this video, there will be information about Mr. Wheeler and his business in the information at the bottom. Thank you for watching, and there will be more information here in the future. Take care.
Thank you.